A human head in a drain. This was no ordinary incident. Realizing the gravity of the matter, the district police chief immediately ordered an investigation. Since the head was found in the drainage line of the GIDC area, there were fears that the remaining parts of the body might also have been hidden somewhere in the same drain. The drain flows along the city roads for quite a long distance. Therefore, searching the entire stretch was unavoidable. But the question was, who was this person? Who was behind this brutal act? What was the motive of this crime? To uncover the truth, we must go back to March 29, 2025.
At dusk, in the Bholav locality of Bharu city, a few dogs were dragging a polythene bag near a drain and fighting over it. From the outside, it appeared to be a completely ordinary sight. Such scenes are often seen on the streets, but that day's scene was a prelude to horror. Amid the dogs' tug of war, a strong foul smell suddenly began to spread from inside the polythene bag. Within moments, the bag tore open, and what emerged from it made the passers-by shudder in shock.
Inside the polythene was a severed human head. It appeared that someone had deliberately disfigured the face and thrown it into the drain, a desperate attempt to conceal the identity of the victim. Welcome to Crime Mind. I am Sujay, and today I am presenting before you the VARUCH.
The news spread like wildfire. Within a short time, a crowd of curious and terrified onlookers gathered at the scene. The police were immediately informed. They quickly arrived, took the head into custody, and sent it for post-mortem examination. 4 teams from VARUCH police and the local crime branch began the investigation with the help of human intelligence sources as well as technical surveillance. The next day, Sunday, March 30, 2025, following police instructions, municipal sanitation workers began manually searching the drains for about 1.5 kilometers from the spot where the head was.
The police's suspicion proved absolutely correct. Just 200 meters away from where the head was discovered, a severed right hand and a portion of the body from the waist to the knees, wrapped in black polythene, were recovered. The horror of the crime could no longer be concealed. The investigation was intensified further.
The following day, during continued searches along the same drainage line, the police recovered the victim's left hand as well. Over the span of 3 days, the police had found a total of 4 body parts, 2 wrapped in polythene and 2 discarded openly. The brutal murder and dismemberment of a human being with body parts thrown into a drain left the entire city in shock. The state of decomposition suggested that the murder had occurred several days earlier.
The biggest challenge before the police was to determine the identity of the deceased. No identification documents or evidence were found that could help identify the person. The only ray of hope was the post-mortem report. Perhaps it would reveal some crucial clues.
Since the crime scene was in the Bholav GIDC industrial area, one police team began preparing a list of workers employed in nearby factories to check whether any employee was missing. Meanwhile, another team examined CCTV footage from the surrounding areas. The police were exploring every possible angle to find a lead. However, they did not realize that the crime had been executed with such cunning planning that identifying the killer would be very difficult.
How was the victim's identity finally established in this case? To understand this mystery, let us go through the entire sequence of events step by step in a simple manner. On March 29, 2025, during the post-mortem of the severed head that had been recovered, the doctor noticed an important detail. One of the victim's teeth had a tooth cap fitted on it.
A tooth cap or dental crown is a type of custom-made prosthetic that is usually placed over a tooth after a root canal treatment. The size and structure of this cap is entirely person-specific, as it is designed according to the unique shape of an individual's tooth. For this, a dental X-ray is taken in advance and precise measurements of the tooth are recorded. The post-mortem examination of the skull revealed that he had recently gotten this tooth cap fitted. This meant that his dental X-rays and treatment records must exist somewhere. If he was a resident of the same city, then some dentist would certainly have his records. Forensic odontologists can match the tooth cap found on the body with dental records to establish a person's identity.
In forensic science, this is a recognized and widely used method, especially when the condition of the body makes fingerprint or DNA analysis difficult. Therefore, one police team began visiting various dental clinics in the city to examine patient records. However, relying solely on the tooth cap to move the investigation forward was quite complicated. In our country, patient records are not always maintained with complete accuracy. It was also possible that the victim had undergone treatment at a small dental clinic where proper documentation might not have been preserved.
Thus, the police needed a combination of evidence, and they partially found another clue. The victim had a tattoo on his right hand. However, it was evident that the killer had cut away the portion of skin bearing the tattoo before committing the murder in an attempt to prevent easy identification. Even so, 3 small dots from the tattoo's design remained visible on the hand, which were revealed during the post-mortem. Now, in addition to the tooth cap, the police had a small but significant visual identification mark, those 3 dots. As mentioned earlier, the condition of the body parts clearly indicated that the murder had occurred several days earlier. For this reason, the police prepared a list of recently filed missing person reports at nearby police stations. From these, they filtered cases involving missing men between 30 and 40 years of age. During this process, one complaint stood out. On March 28, 2025, a man named Mohit Chauhan had filed a missing person report at the VARUCH police station regarding his brother. That was just 1 day before the severed head was discovered.
When the police contacted Mohit Chauhan, they learned that his brother had recently gotten a tooth cap fitted by a dentist. In the photograph Mohit provided to the police, his brother could be seen with a tattoo on his hand, a name ending with 3 dots. Those same 3 dots matched the marks found on the recovered severed hand. Ultimately, through this multi-layered effort and intelligent investigative approach, the police succeeded. The identity of the body parts was confirmed. They belonged to Mohit Chauhan's 35-year-old Sachin Chauhan.
Sachin Chauhan was originally a resident of Bijnor in Uttar Pradesh, but for the past 12 years, he had been living in Gujarat and working for a pharmaceutical company. The police learned that he lived with his wife Parul and their 4-year-old son Shivansh in the Vedant Society area of Bharuch. Without delay, the police went to that address. However, upon reaching there, they found the house locked. On questioning neighbors, they learned that his wife Parul had already left for Bijnor to her parental home along with her son.
This information deeply puzzled the police. Why had Sachin's wife suddenly left even before his body parts were recovered? To find answers, a police team set out for Bijnor in Uttar Pradesh. At that point, they had no idea that the answers to all their questions and the remaining mystery of this case would reveal a hidden truth unlike anything they had encountered before.
When the Bharuch police team reached Chandpur village in Bijnor and questioned Sachin's wife Parul about his husband, she claimed that Sachin had gone to Bengaluru for work. This statement further deepened the police's suspicion. They then questioned Sachin's brother Mohit Chauhan, who also resided in Bijnor. Mohit stated that on March 7, 2025, Sachin had come to Bijnor to attend a wedding ceremony in the village. Parul had also come from Bharuch to Bijnor with her son to attend the same event. After the wedding ceremony concluded, only Sachin returned to Bharuch to resume work. It was decided that
after March 25th, there was no contact with Sachin. At first, he was not answering his phone, and later it started coming completely switched off. However, just before the phone was turned off, Mohit's brother Mohit received a text message, and that message was extremely strange and shocking.
Sachin wrote that he wanted to divorce Parul because he was involved with another woman. He also claimed that he had borrowed someone money, and during an argument over it, he had allegedly killed that person. This message raised suspicion in Mohit's mind. He immediately traveled to Bharuch to look for Sachin. There he met Sachin's childhood friend Shailendra. Shailendra was also a resident of Bijnor and had come to Bharuch around 10-12 years earlier along with Sachin for work. However, Shailendra also claimed that he did not know anything about Sachin's whereabouts. After learning the entire timeline from Mohit, the police decided to contact Shailendra to get more information about Sachin, since for the past 12 years in Bharuch, Shailendra had been Sachin's closest associate.
But surprisingly, Shailendra's phone was also found switched off at that time. For the past few days, he had not been in contact with any member of Sachin's family either. The police then began tracking not only Sachin's phone number but also Shailendra's. When the call detailed records of both were examined, an unusual pattern emerged which deepened the police's suspicion.
From the period just before Sachin's phone was switched off, there were no outgoing calls from Shailendra's number. He had been communicating only through text messages with family and relatives. Based on police investigation experience, many criminals consider speaking over the phone risky after committing a crime and rely solely on text messages. The VARUCH police placed both Sachin's and Shailendra's numbers under surveillance. Finally, with the assistance of the Uttar Pradesh police, Shailendra was detained on April 2, 2025 near the Jogipur area of Bijnor on suspicion.
It did not take long during police interrogation for suspicion to turn into truth. Shailendra confessed that he had killed his childhood friend Sachin and dismembered his body. However, the shocking aspect of this case was not just that a childhood friend had murdered another so brutally. What was even more startling was the motive behind the murder. And the biggest shock of all was this: the victim was not entirely innocent either.
To understand the full story, we need to go back about 12 years, when Sachin and Shailendra moved from Bijnor in Uttar Pradesh to Bharuch in Gujarat in search of jobs. Sachin Chauhan and Shailendra Singh were both science graduates. They worked in different pharmaceutical companies in the Dahej area of Gujarat. Sachin married Parul in 2020. At that time, Parul lived in Bijnor, while Sachin stayed alone in a rented house in Bharuch. On the other hand, Shailendra lived with his wife in a rented apartment in Haridam Society in Bharuch. In 2023, Shailendra suggested that Sachin move in with him in the same flat. This way, they could share rent and other expenses, which would be financially beneficial for both. For two friends who had grown up together since childhood, the proposal seemed perfectly natural.
But you cannot even imagine how low Sachin stooped by taking advantage of Shailendra's friendship. After Sachin started living at Shailendra's house, one day when Shailendra was not at home and his wife was bathing in the bathroom, Sachin secretly recorded a video of her through the bathroom window on his mobile phone. Now you can understand what kind of person Sachin was.
He committed this disgraceful act in 2023 itself, at a time when his own wife and child were still living in Bijnor. Shailendra had no idea about this and was completely unaware of his friend's disgusting behavior. Later in 2023, Sachin's wife Parul moved to Bharuch with their son Shivansh. Sachin rented a house in Vedant Society in Bharuch and began living there with his family. Thus, both Shailendra and Sachin started living separately in Bharuch with their respective families. After some time, Shailendra needed approximately 4 lakh rupees. He sought help from Sachin. Sachin took a loan of 4 lakh rupees from a private finance company and helped him. Shailendra regularly sent the monthly installment amount to Sachin.
For several months, everything was normal. But when the loan installment started getting delayed, Sachin became angry. The next few months passed in tension. As the installments piled up, cracks appeared in the friendship. What began as anger and resentment turned into arguments, and the arguments eventually escalated into blackmail.
One day, in a fit of anger, Sachin showed Shailendra the video he had recorded of Shailendra's wife while she was bathing. He threatened to leak the video on social media. It felt as if the ground slipped from beneath Shailendra's feet. The friend with whom he had spent his life since childhood, from school to job, from their home village to another state, the one with whom he shared such deep trust that they even knew each other's ATM pins. He never imagined that this friend could betray him like this. What was even more shocking was that the video had nothing to do with the
Shailendra repeatedly reminded Sachin of their friendship and pleaded with him to delete the video, but Sachin would laugh it off every time. In unbearable humiliation and anxiety, Shailendra realized that he had to delete the video at any cost. However, he was unable to succeed by confronting Sachin directly, so he made a horrifying plan.
On the evening of March 25th, he invited Sachin to his house under the pretext of a dinner party. Earlier, he had sent his wife to Bijnor, to her father's home, so no one else was at home. That night, they ate and drank together. Shailendra deliberately made Sachin drink heavily. Late at night, when Sachin fell asleep, Shailendra tried to find the video in Sachin's phone gallery to delete it. But at the very moment, Sachin woke up and caught him going through his phone. A fierce argument broke out instantly. The fight escalated so much that in a fit of rage, Shailendra picked up a kitchen knife and stabbed Sachin repeatedly in the neck, chest, and stomach. Sachin died on the spot.
Although the crime was committed in anger, what followed was an attempt to destroy evidence. On March 26th, he bought a wood-cutting saw from a shop. With it, he cut Sachin's body into 9 pieces. He even tried to erase the name tattoo on his hand to prevent identification. Sachin wrote that he wanted to divorce Parul because he was involved with another woman. He also claimed that he had borrowed someone money, and during an argument over it, he had allegedly killed that person. This message raised suspicion in Mohit's mind. He immediately traveled to VARUCH to look for Sachin. There he met Sachin's childhood friend Shailendra. Shailendra was also a resident of Bijnor and had come to VARUCH around 10-12 years earlier along with Sachin for work. However, Shailendra also claimed that he did not know anything about Sachin's whereabouts. After learning the entire timeline from Mohit, the police decided to contact Shailendra to get more information about Sachin, since for the past 12 years in VARUCH, Shailendra had been Sachin's closest associate.
Shailendra did not immediately switch off Sachin's phone. Instead, using Sachin's phone, he sent text messages to his brother Mohit, claiming that Sachin wanted to divorce Parul because he was involved with someone else. He also wrote that there had been a dispute over money with a friend named Smith Patel.
This entire story was fabricated by Shailendra to misguide the family and the police. To further divert suspicion, he threw Sachin's ATM card inside a train bound for Delhi. He even wrote the ATM pin on the card cover so that if someone used it out of greed, the location would appear in another city. You would be surprised to know that while disposing of the body parts, he adopted a unique strategy to avoid CCTV cameras. He disguised himself as a woman, wearing a maxi gown, a face scarf, and long gloves. He would then go out on a scooter so that even if caught on CCTV, he would not be easily identified. He also chose dark places where there were no cameras. This case teaches us how betrayal and decisions made in extreme emotional states can lead to devastating consequences. Therefore, if someone becomes a victim of blackmail, they should seek professional counseling or legal assistance. At the very least, they must inform a neutral third party. Remember, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom and responsibility. Therefore, to make others aware, please share this video, like it, and share your opinion in the comment box. Stay happy, stay healthy. Goodbye.